Hey there, my name is Christopher Gimmer, and today I'm going to show you how to use SEO to drive free signups for your product. So what you'll be learning today is how to find valuable site pages and bottom of the funnel content that's worth creating, how to utilize keyword research tools, and how to build scalable white hat links. So before we even get into the lesson today, I just want to show you how effective this was for us. So this is an actual screenshot from our Google Analytics account, and you can see that after the first couple months that we had launched, our traffic had really stagnated for like almost the entire year. And it wasn't until we implemented some of the stuff that I'm going to show you guys today where you can see very soon after our traffic, really exploded, and we've been able to scale the business pretty successfully as a result of that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is site pages. So when we first launched our website, Snappa, our homepage was, ranking for keywords like graphic design tools, graphic design software, and that type of stuff. But what we realized afterwards was that our customers and our target audience was searching for a lot of different keywords that we actually weren't targeting on our homepage. And so once we added different pages on our website to capture that different search volume, it made a really big difference. Okay, so how do you go about doing this? The first step is to research your competitor top pages. So I'm going to tab over to Ahrefs. This is the SEO software that we use. There's also SEMrush, and there's a couple other ones. So I'm just going to, so first you want to head to the Site Explorer, which is the tab that I'm in right now. And as an example, I'm going to type snappa.com, which is our website. So what you want to do is on the left-hand side, you'll see there's a top pages report. So once you click top pages, okay, there we go. Once you click on top pages, what this will do is it'll show you all the URLs of whatever website that you input, and it will sort it based on the organic traffic that it's generating. So this report is super powerful because it will show you which pages are generating the most organic traffic for your competitors or any website that you research. And this can give you really good ideas as to the types of pages that maybe you want to add to your website. So that's the first thing. Next, what you want to do is you want to brainstorm all the different use cases for your products. So, for us, for example, you can use Snappa to create Facebook cover photos, Twitter headers, Twitch banners, that type of stuff. So what we did was, we basically went through our app and we listed out all the different things and the use cases that you can use Snappa for. And then what we did was we started to do some keyword research based on what we had come up with in the previous step. So I'm going to go back into Ahrefs, and this time I'm going to click on the Keywords Explorer tool. So as an example, with Snappa, you can create Twitter headers. So I'm just going to type in Twitter header, and then I'm going to run a search on this keyword. So a really cool thing here is there's a section called Keyword Ideas, and I'm going to click on Phrase Match. And so what this will do is it'll give you all of the keywords, long tail keywords that have the word Twitter header in it. So when we did this, we noticed that there's 2,600 searches a month for the keyword Twitter header maker. Now, as you can imagine, on our homepage, we weren't necessarily targeting people that were searching for a Twitter header maker. We were, ranking for things like graphic design tool and graphic design software. So with all that, what we did was we created the site page specifically for Twitter headers. And so you want to obviously optimize this. So our URL, we have, create/Twitter headers. The page title for this particular site page is, Twitter. It has the word Twitter header maker in it, so we're targeting that keyword. You can see our H1 and H2 tags or subheadings. and even our call to action button has to do with, a Twitter header maker and creating Twitter headers. So once we were able to, do these different site pages across the site, all of a sudden we're ranking for things like Facebook cover maker, Twitter header maker, Twitch banner maker. Whereas if we only still had our homepage, we wouldn't have been able to capture the search volume. So in terms of some site pages that you want to consider, look at features, solutions, use cases, comparison and alternative pages. If you have templates, those are great site pages that you can create, and as well as integrations. So just to recap, what you want to do is research your competitors' top pages, brainstorm use cases and feature offerings for your product, identify relevant keywords, and then create the actual site pages themselves. So the next thing that I want to talk about is content. Now, content marketing is a huge subject. There's lots of varying opinions, lots of different, styles and whatever. So for this lesson, I'm going to focus more on, content marketing for a product, and specifically bottom of the funnel content. So what do I mean by that? Now, when we first started writing content for Snappa, we were writing, fairly generic listicle type posts. So, we had one that was 65 plus content marketing tools, 6 psychology principles every marketer needs to know. And what we found that, number one, it was hard to stand out with this type of content because, a lot of people are writing the same stuff. But more importantly, when people actually did land on these blog posts, we weren't really generating any leads. And the reason is that, psychology principles that every marketer needs to know is a little bit far off from, creating graphics for marketing purposes. So once again, we went back to the drawing board and we started thinking about, what were people using our tool for? And we started to do keyword research around that again. So once again, we went back into Ahrefs, and I'll show you this here. So using the same Twitter header keyword search with the phrase match included, we saw that there were 32,000 people that were searching for Twitter header size. Now, as you can imagine, if someone is wondering or searching for what the size of the Twitter header is, there's a good chance that they're actually going to need to create a Twitter header. So the blog post is super aligned with our product. And if you have a new product and you don't really have a lot of authority and search volume for your domain, I would really recommend concentrating first on the bottom of the funnel content, the content that is most related to your product, the content that has the most ability to drive signups, and then you can start branching out and moving on to, other types of content. So what we did was we published this post called The Perfect Twitter Header Size for 2018, which at the time was actually 2016. We've been updating this post now for 2019. And we followed, basic on-page SEO practices. So first we made sure there was an SEO-friendly URL. We included the keyword in the title tag. We kept the post updated, as I mentioned. We created a custom graphic with alt text. We made it long-form content. So this piece of content was longer than any other post that was written about the Twitter header size. And for a full on-page SEO guide, I would definitely recommend checking out backlinko.com/onpage SEO, and he really covers like all of the nuts and bolts there. So once we published this, as you can see, we were able to rank number 1 for Twitter header size. There's a screenshot of the analytics, and so this one post made a big difference. And so what we did after that is we doubled down and we basically recreated, the similar type of post for both the Facebook cover size, Instagram story dimensions, and pretty much, everything else that people were searching for. So as I alluded to before, the best thing about this type of content is that it's super related to your product. So in this blog post, right after the introduction, we added this callout section that says, hey, we've integrated Twitter's header dimensions and safe zones into our graphic design tool, create a Twitter header for free. And then when people clicked on that link, it would take them directly to that site page, which was heavily targeted and selling them on the Twitter header maker. So everything rolled in really nicely. So to recap what worked for us in terms of content and something that you might try, especially if you're doing content marketing for a product, is to focus on evergreen content. So that's content that will stay relevant for years to come. Obviously, you're going to have to update it, but it's not something that you can't update it or is just going to go out of vogue. The next thing that we did was we dialed back the frequency, and we only started writing 1 to 2 posts per month. And what this did is it would allow us to focus on promotion and link building, which is super important if you have a new product and you don't have a lot of authority for your domain. As you start generating more backlinks and you start generating more authority for your domain, then you can start pumping out more content, and it should be a bit easier to rank for it. Like I mentioned, we focused on high intent keywords. So initially we only wrote content that was, super relatable to our product and had a high likelihood of driving conversions. And of course, we doubled down on the stuff that was working. So once you have the site pages created and you've written, these cornerstone pieces of content with high intent, the next thing that you need to do is build links to them so you can rank those in the search engines. So there's 2 types of link building, right? There's internal links and external links. Now, most people kind of ignore internal links, which could be a bit of a mistake. With internal link building, there's a couple benefits. So number 1, it helps Google discover your pages mainly through spidering and crawling. It helps Google understand your pages mainly through anchor text. And it also helps Google determine the importance of your pages through the number of links, internal links that are being pointed, as well as the authority of those pages, which often is referred to as link juice. So to give you an example of how you might go about doing some internal link building. So in the case of our site pages, we added a section in our footer called Use Cases, and this is where we had linked out to all the different site pages that we had created. And then on our blog, what we did was we added a sidebar and we added this section called Image Sizing Guides. And here we're linking to all of those image sizing posts that we had discussed before, which were really important for us. And then what we did was we actually interlinked the blog posts and the site pages. So for example, in our blog post about what the Facebook cover size is, like we alluded to, we're linking to the specific site page for the Facebook cover maker. And then on that Facebook cover maker, we have a section where we talk about how you can save time with the ideal dimensions for Facebook covers, which links back to the blog post. And then finally, on all of those site pages, we actually interlink within the other site pages. So we added this FAQ section where where it says a Snappa only for Facebook cover design, and we say no, in addition to creating Facebook covers, you can also create graphics for, and then we start listing out the different options that you have available. So this is a visual representation of what that looks like. So on our blog sidebar, as we mentioned, we link to the various image sizing guides that we have available. Within those image size guides, they link to the site pages. The site pages link back to the size guides, and then the site pages link back within each other, and then also through the website footer. So you can see here that everything is really well interlinked within each other. So we're really helping Google crawl and understand the meaning and the context of our website. And what's great is that, when you start building links to these pages, because they're all interlinked within each other, there's some bit of authority that's being passed on to the other page. Okay, so once you've added all the internal links to your website, the next thing that you want to do is build external links, which is obviously, super important. So 2 things that you might want to focus on is outreach and guest posting. Now, there's a million different ways to build links. That is a whole other topic in itself, but I'm going to cover a few different strategies. Now, something to keep in mind when it comes to outreach, it's really a numbers game. You're going to be sending out a lot of emails, you're going to be pitching a lot of people, and without a doubt you're going to have low conversions, but it's quick and easy, so it's really a no-brainer to do this. Now with guest posting, it's a much more scalable process, and it offers you the most control, but it's also more time consuming. However, I'm going to discuss a process that makes it much quicker to do. Okay, so with outreach, one of the things that I really like to do is build links from resource pages. The reason that I really like resource pages is that the entire point of a resource pages is to link out to other people. So when you reach out to the owner of the blog or the website asking for a link, it's not like you're asking for anything unreasonable. That's the whole point, the whole reason that the page exists. So I've included a couple different search strings that you might want to use. So first you can just type in a keyword and then add resources or links, and it'll bring back some search results. But what works really well is if you use the in URL and in title string along with resources or links. What that will do is it'll only show you results that actually have the word resources and links in the URL and in the title. So that's a really good way to filter out like pure resource pages. And then finally, you can use the site.edu search string, and what that will do is it'll only bring back search results from .edu websites. And we've actually had quite a bit of success with this, getting links from library pages or even course outline pages, because these people aren't getting pitched as much. And there's some debate as to whether or not EDU pages hold more SEO value than regular pages. If you want a full guide on building links from resource pages, you can follow this link. We actually wrote a blog post about it on our blog. So the next thing is reverse engineering. Essentially, you're just going to figure out the links of your competitors and then reach out to them. So I'm going to tab back into Ahrefs, and I'm going to go back to the Site Explorer. And once again, I'm just going to type in Snappa for example purposes. So what you want to do is you either want to click backlinks, or I actually prefer to click referring domains. So what this will do is it'll show this will show you all of the referring domains that are linking to Snappa. So you can scroll down here, and okay, we got a link from HubSpot. So if I click here, then what it will do is it'll show me the specific page on HubSpot that is linking out to us. And so what you can do with this is essentially, reach out to that blog if they've mentioned a competitor or something like that, and say, hey, I noticed you mentioned this tool. We actually do XYZ. Here's why we're better. Would you mind linking out to us? What you'll find is that if you're reaching out to people who've written a blog post like a year or two ago, especially on multi-author blogs, it's very rare that they're actually going to go back and edit posts. So you definitely want to focus on, the newer stuff, and also single author blogs where you have a higher chance of them actually going back to link. There's probably going to be a small chance that, someone from HubSpot will go back and edit a blog post from a year ago just to include you. So, just want to put that out there. So the next thing is Unlinked Mentions. So we use a tool called BuzzSumo. I think Mention is another really popular tool for this. We use BuzzSumo for a bunch of other stuff, which is why we kind of use this. So what they'll do is you can put in your brand or any type of keyword for that matter. And what it will do is it'll send you emails anytime someone mentions your brand. And what's great is that it will, if someone doesn't link to that, it will actually give you this notification saying that, this mention does not link to any website. So what you can then do is, reach out to reach out to the person who wrote that post and say, hey, thank you so much for including us in your blog post. I noticed, however, that you didn't link to us. Would you be able to add a link to our website? I think it would help your readers find us. Something to that effect. And because they've already added you or already mentioned you in the blog post, we find success rates for this is pretty decent because it's not too much effort just to add a link to it. And then finally, link monitoring. So, similar to reverse engineering, with link monitoring, you're basically tracking people that mention or link to a competitor. And what's good about this is this happens, daily or however long you set it. So these are posts that have just been written. So if you reach out to them and ask to be included or whatever, there's a much higher chance that they might be willing to add you in because it's a fresh blog post. And the other thing about this too is it just gives you a sense of the other websites that are writing about competitors or writing about the topics. And sometimes you can even get some really good ideas for guest posts, which we'll talk about in the next section. Speaking of which, guest posting. So with guest posting, like I mentioned before, it offers you the most control, but it can be a bit time consuming. So what I find with guest posting is it's really good to have a process. So the process that we've kind of followed to a certain extent is this one from Ryan Stewart from Webris. I have no affiliation with him. I just found that it was, it was a really good guide. So you can find it here at webris.org/guide to scaling link building. If you just search this, you can find this on YouTube as well. But what I'll do is I'm going to kind of summarize this for you just so you don't have to watch an hour-long webinar if you don't want to. So the way it works is you basically identify 4 roles. Now, if your company is young and you don't have employees or you don't have the resources to kind of outsource stuff, you could be all 4 people. Like you don't actually have to have 4 different people, but really what you want to think about is just the mindset. And then, potentially at some point, maybe you want to replace yourself for certain roles. So there's basically a lead SEO. So this person is doing the website analysis, setting up the keyword tracking, setting up the project plan, basically quarterbacking this whole thing. Then you have the link prospector. So this is the person that is finding opportunities and then recording them in Google Sheets or whatever spreadsheet that you're using. Next, there's the outreach manager. So this person is going to set up outreach templates, contact and negotiate with prospects, and work with content creators to get the content as needed. And then finally, you have the content creator. So this is a freelancer, someone in-house, or someone on call to write the content as needed. Now, I think the most important role to split out of this whole process is probably the content creator because, it's a lot of work doing the back and forth, finding the prospects, doing the pitching and whatever. So if at a bare minimum, you don't need to worry about writing the content, this could really, make this thing much more scalable than if every time you land an opportunity, you have to kind of buckle down and start writing some of the content. So in terms of tracking, what you want to do is create a Google Sheet with the following tabs. So you want to have your priorities, the opportunities database, the prospecting, and the working content. So in the priorities tab, you basically want to determine which pages and posts you want to build links and prioritize them. So basically what we did is we looked at what we were currently ranking, what the keyword difficulty was, what the volume for that search term was, and what our conversion rates were for the existing pages. And then we essentially just started prioritizing, which pages would give us the biggest boost initially if we built links to them. And then once we kind of built up the ranking for that page, we would kind of move on to the next one. So the next tab you want to create is the opportunities database. So here you're going to create basically a big spreadsheet of all the possible guest posting opportunities that there are. So you can use things like search strings like write for us, contribute, guest post guidelines to find some blogs that are accepting guest posts. Now, what I found in the last couple of years especially is that people aren't really advertising as much, that they're accepting guest posts. And the reason why is that there are some people that are, kind of spamming when it comes to guest posting. So I found that people are still very receptive to guest posts, but they only are really accepting them from qualified writers and people that have, an actual good message to say. So one of the best ways that I found to find the blogs that are actually accepting guest posts is to use this in URL author search string. And what this will do is it'll bring back all the different websites that a particular person has an author profile on. So if you're watching this and you're in the internet marketing space, you've probably heard of Neil Patel. That guy has, written guest posts for like a zillion of different blogs. So if you put in URL author and then put in Neil Patel, it will give you all, it will bring back a huge list of websites that Neil Patel has an author bio on, and then you can, be reasonably assured that those websites will also accept or may accept a guest post. So after you've done that, the next thing is to set up the prospecting tab. So here is basically where you're going to keep track of all the pitches from beginning to end. And what we've done is we basically set up, we track all our pitches and all our drafts into Google Docs, and we kind of link to that in the spreadsheet. And here you're basically just tracking everything. And then once a pitch is accepted from the website, then you want to use this working content tab to assign the post to writers and keep track of their progress. So as you can see with this type of organization, the whole guest posting just becomes much more manageable and much more scalable, and it's a great way to to go about it. So in terms of final action steps, let's just recap what we talked about today. So number one, you're going to want to brainstorm use cases for your product and identify competitor top pages. Next, you're going to want to perform keyword research and identify the relevant keywords to target. Next, you're going to want to create site pages and blog posts that are optimized for on-page SEO. Add internal links to your site pages and blog posts throughout your website. Then build external links through outreach and guest posting, and then add call to actions within your blog post to drive signups. So that's everything I had for you today. Really hope you enjoyed this presentation. Obviously, if you want to create online graphics in a Snap for social media, ads, blog post content, whatever you will, you can sign up for a free account at snappa.com. Thanks for listening.